Hello everyone, and welcome to entry 1 in Tales or Stories of an Ugly Childhood. I should have changed it to Tales, it's more poetic. Anyway, before we begin any of this, none of this stuff is going to be in chronological order. Absolutely none of it, because that is not how my brain works. For those of you who care to know, I have ADD, and I am very, very dyslexic, and I have agenesis of the corpus callosum, which is a congenital birth defect in which the two hemispheres of the brain do not meet in the proper manner. There is no little connective tissue there. It's just a valley for things to go through sometimes. It's been explained to me by multiple professionals with, lots of experience and degrees and shit, but again, it just goes right through that little valley. Um, I can function, I can feed my cats, I can run my business, and I can basically maintain my art room and myself, so we're all good. It's not that much of a detriment. So, that being said, there will also be a lot of jump cuts and editing and this and that here and there, pauses and weird shit where I go off on a totally different subject sometimes because that's just how my fucking brain works. Sorry. Can't help it. There is no cure. There is no medication for it. We just gotta live with it. And so I do. Alright, entry 1. We're gonna call this the swing set. And this one is the origin of why I am deeply fixated with propaganda and the MK Ultra mind control business and Project Monarch and generally just the manipulation of words and the functionality of reality. It all comes from this one story. It's longer than one event. It takes place over about a month and a half period. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, I guess around second grade or so, my mom tells me that we have to move out of Pop's house. I was living with my grandfather and our extended family, an aunt and some uncles and my mom and, dog and whatever. Anyway, so we have to move out of Pop's house because, quote, Pop does not want us anymore. Yep. So we move into this terrible, terrible housing authority development, and it was brand new. They had just built it, and it was built out of basically paper and duct tape. But they had really nice basements. The basements were good and solid, never leaked, and they were fun to play in. So anyway, brand new housing development, little teeny tiny box houses, nondescript. And they were all for lower income families, impoverished, and so on. And there were a lot of Hispanic people living in the area too. So everybody else was on Section 8. And my mom was going through, well, she had just graduated nursing school and she was working 3 different emergency room jobs at 3 different hospitals and spreading herself entirely too thin. I don't know. She was probably like, oh, 20, 23 or 24 at the time. and maybe 25. Yeah, 25. We'll give her a little credit there. 25. And she was spreading herself entirely too thin, and I was a very difficult child. Um, I had already been experiencing interference by my biological father for some time, and it made me into a little weirdo and into a very, very shy person. And I had that against me. um, so we move into this little housing development, and there's no fences between any of these houses. It's all just flat land that you could, if you had a big riding lawnmower, you could handle it in like 2 hours. No fences. All the backyards met, and I had a glorious swing set that my grandfather gave me when I was very, very young. And it was very well taken care of and very, very, very loved. And it had all kinds of cool stuff on it. It had a slide and a teeter-totter and this little four-seater thing, like for very small children, if you were four of them. It like it looked like a porch swing, but two people facing each other. And then two separate single swings. And it was my favorite fucking thing in the world. And honestly, it should have stayed at my grandfather's house. It should have stayed there. Because every single teenager and delinquent child in the neighborhood gravitated toward that swing set like it was a fucking megalith. And there was nothing I could do. Nothing I could do. There were kids all over my swing set all the time, and I did not know them, and I was deathly afraid of the big ones, because if I said, hey, please stop, you're too big for my swing set, they would threaten me. So every time a piece broke off of the swing set, or something happened, or it got a little more rickety, my mom would scream at me to control my friends. And she'd push me around. She didn't start hitting me, actually, until we moved into the little house. That is when she started beating the shit out of me. You know, she slapped me every once in a while when we lived at my grandfather's, but, yeah, she was spread so thin and so stressed out and so unready to be a mom that she just took everything out on me all the time. And she took that swing set out on me. She beat the shit out of me every time a piece broke off of it, screamed at me to control my friends, protect my stuff, this is your property, you can't have anything nice because you can't take care of it. What am I supposed to do? I'm a 4'9" child, and these children are fucking behemoths. What am I supposed to do against that? I don't know. And so I just took the abuse from all sides, and thought about how could I control these children. These were not my friends, and I didn't want to call them my friends. I didn't want anything to do with any of those evil little pieces of shit. How could I control them? And that's when it started. And I wasn't a very good reader until I was about 15 or 16 years old. But I've always been a very good talker, and I'm very, very, very good at talking my way out of being in trouble for shit. I can, make people laugh, and they forget that I did something fucked up, or I broke something, and I can sneak away. That is what that amounts to. And now I am a very, very good salesman, because boy, oh boy, do I sell some useless shit to people. Alright, that is my video. It is long enough. This was entry 1. It was very awkward. I'm not going to have to cut anything out of it though. They will get better over time. I hope somebody got something out of this because I sure feel better after having talked about it and, introducing myself a little bit more and giving myself, um, you know, a look at why I am the way I am and why I am who I am. Anyway, bye. That was weird. Hey folks, it's about 10 hours later and I decided to delete entry 1 and add this here addendum and re-upload it. After a full day of contemplation and such, it occurs to me that there is another really, really serious long-term side effect to the entire swing set incident. And that is, I have a huge, huge problem with people fussing with my belongings, like borrowing my stuff without asking, moving my shit around, or using some tool without asking and not putting it back in the right place. And with my husband and I, we've been married for 25 years. And it's an ongoing thing when he borrows my t-shirts. Now, through the entirety of our marriage, he is the one that primarily purchases my awesome clothing. And I do have a massive collection of really, really great, hilarious t-shirts with slogans and logos and shit all over them. And you'd think that a reasonable person would let their husband who purchases the clothing borrow the awesome t-shirts every once in a while and not have to ask, especially after, you've been married to the person for so fucking long. But it really, 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 like, bends me out of shape. Like, I get loud and mean and a little bit nasty about it because it's my stuff. It's my stuff, and I'm supposed to protect it and keep it nice, and I can't protect it and keep it nice if somebody else is running off with it and stretching out the neckline and shit, or ruining my fucking scissor blades. So yeah, and it's a lifelong thing, like people not respecting my personal property. I get really, really angry about it. Yeah, so that is the addendum to entry 1, the swing set. Bye folks, for real this time.